Getting a sewing machine can be tricky as a beginner. That is why I would suggest you should go for sewing machines that are affordable and easy to maintain. Because we have different types of sewing machine. We have the manual sewing machine, we have the industrial sewing machine, we have the tabletop sewing machine, we have computerized sewing machine. In this video, I'm going to give disadvantages and advantages of different types of sewing machine. And I'm going to be suggesting the types of sewing machine that you should have as a beginner and why you should have such kind of sewing machines. Please do stay tuned and watch to the end of this video to get information on the type of sewing machine that you should be needing as a beginner. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Chijis. To my returning subscribers, we want to say thank you and we love you for always coming back. And to my new subscribers, we're saying thank you. Please like this video. Liking this video helps YouTube to send this video across the world to other sewing newbies that are new in the sewing journey. And subscribe to this channel because why not? You need to subscribe. Subscribing helps me to grow and subscribing helps you to grow. Turn on your notification bell to be updated anytime we post a new video. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Welcome back to the video. Like we were talking about sewing machine. Sewing machines, sewing machines, sewing machines. First of all, before you try to understand or know the type of sewing machine that you should need, first of all, we talk about what is a sewing machine, what are sewing machine used for, types of sewing machine. At least you should know the brands of some sewing machines, and also as a beginner, what sewing machine should you get for your sewing journey? I'm going to be talking about sewing machine. What is a sewing machine? A sewing machine is a machine used to join or sew fabric or materials together with a thread. What are sewing machines used for? Sewing machines are used for stitching, to join fabrics together for the production of garments. It includes blind stitching, hemming stitching, reverse stitch, smoking or shirring, stretched stitch, buttonhole stitching, and countless more. Let's talk about types of sewing machine. We have 4 types of sewing machine I'm going to be talking about in this tutorial. We have the manual sewing machine, we have the industrial sewing machine, we have the tabletop sewing machine, and we have the overlockers sewing machines. I would be starting with the industrial sewing machines. I'll be starting with the disadvantages of an industrial sewing machine. The first disadvantage of an industrial sewing machine is that it is 100% electrical. That is, without electricity, you cannot use this sewing machine. You have to have a standby generator or a solar panel to be able to use this sewing machine efficiently. Secondly, it is very big and requires a large amount of space. It requires a very big area because this sewing machine sits on top of a table. If you do not have a spacious area, it's going to be a disadvantage for you. It is quite expensive. This sewing machine, you can get them from up to 400,000 in some countries, in some states. You can get from 400,000 and above, depending on the type of the sewing machine and the brand of the sewing machine. It can be heavy. It is quite heavy. It cannot be moved around as some other types of sewing machine. It is stationary at a particular point, except maybe you want to transport it to another point. You need the help of other persons to move that sewing machine from that point to another point. Then it is very fast. It can be a disadvantage and it can be an advantage. Why I said it can be a disadvantage is that if you do not know how to use this industrial sewing machine, it becomes a disadvantage because you can either get yourself hurt, you can hurt your fingers, or you can stitch at places that you're not meant to stitch and thereby spoiling your fabric because of too much stitching and not getting the right way to stitch. Then I'll go to the advantages of an industrial sewing machine. It is fast. If you're very good at using this sewing machine, it is very fast. It can help you accomplish more sewing projects within a short period of time, and it can help you meet up to your client's demand. If you're very good with this sewing machine, it helps you fast track your work. It helps you bring your work faster to an ending point. Secondly, of the advantages, it is easy to maintain. Just have access to electricity and pour oil in the tank and you're good to go. You don't need to start oiling different parts like some other types of sewing machines. It is easy to use. You do not need to pedal. All you have to do is put your foot, either your left foot or your right foot, depending on what part of foot you use, and release it gradually, and there you go, stitching. It is very reliable. Industrial sewing machines are very reliable. If you have a lot of sewing projects, I will recommend you consider this sewing machine because it will help you with so many sewing projects. Now we go to the manual sewing machine. I'm going to be talking about the advantages of a manual sewing machine. It is very easy to use and very understandable. It is quite easy to understand and quite easy to use. It is suitable for beginners and understanding almost immediately. These are the first sewing machines that you use when you are enrolled in a fashion school or a tailoring school. Even if you do not have access to these schools and you're learning from the YouTube, these are machines that you first use because it is quite easy to thread, quite easy to paddle, and so on. A lot of persons, they can take like maybe 5 minutes to learn how to pedal, threading, and stitching, while some persons, they can take a week or two, but the main thing is that it is easy to use and understand. You do not need electricity. So anytime you desire to use your sewing machine, you could just sit down and there you go, stitching and making your outfit. It comes very handy because it does not require electricity. This manual sewing machine has a dual identity or a dual purpose because it can use electricity and also it cannot use electricity. As long as you have a motor, a sewing motor, which I'm going to be showing you right on the screen, you can see what a sewing motor looks like right now. Once you plug that to your manual sewing machine, because they have like a compartment that is built there for you to be able to plug this, and you plug it to your manual sewing machine, you could just plug it to electricity and you can use it. It will still function as an industrial sewing machine for you. But the only thing here is that it can still function as industrial sewing machine for you. Disadvantages. I'm going to be talking about the disadvantages of this sewing machine. It is very high maintenance. Very high maintenance. You must always oil the part consistently, and that is why you must always have oil. You must always have oil at your disposal. It is very stressful to use in terms of pedaling. You will have to use your physical strength to pedal. So it depends on your leg, how you're ready to use your leg to pedal. It is not fast. Why I said it's not fast? Because it depends on your ability to pedal. If you're fast, you tend to get your work done faster. And if you're slow, you tend to get your work done in a slow rate. So you see why I said it is not fast, and it can be an advantage and it can be a disadvantage. It depends on your use. It does only straight stitch. This is a disadvantage for an industrial sewing machine and also a manual sewing machine because it does just a straight stitch. It is not like other sewing machine that does other kind of stitches that you can have a zigzag stitch, etc. Now that is that for industrial and that is that for manual. So I'm going to be going to the tabletop or electrical sewing machine. The advantage of this tabletop sewing machine, it is very easy to use. Even if you're not a fashion student or a fashion designer, it is easy to use. You have access to various stitches on the machine, such as zigzag stitch and buttonholes, etc. You can also use it to sew stretchy materials. So it has a stretch stitch. It is very small and portable. It is something you can carry around. As a fashion student, you can actually carry this sewing machine to classes for your sewing practicals. It is something that you can actually carry. It's very handy. It's not like industrial sewing machine or manual sewing machine. Like, for example, if you want to travel, you will have to weigh bill it. You should know what weigh billing is. You have to weigh, it has to be like an haulage kind of thing. But with a tabletop sewing machine, you can actually put it in your bag, in a bag that can contain, and it can be by your side. You don't have to go through the hassle of labeling or delivering that sewing machine just for the purpose of using it. The disadvantage of a tabletop sewing machine, it has to do with electricity, 100% electrical. So if you're in a country or a state that do not have light, you're not accessible to electricity, this becomes a problem for you. Now, this tabletop sewing machine, another disadvantage is that it does not sew heavy duty materials. It might sew, but not as an industrial sewing machine would. It's just designed for easy and personal use, just for your personal use. So some persons do use it to sew outfits that they produce for themselves and they produce to sell out. Now we go to the sergers or an overlocker. This is used for overlocking sides, that is the rough sides or rough edges of your garment. You'll notice that whenever you sew some garments, especially if you are not lining, you tend to get rough edges. So these machines are used to sew, are used to serge and overlock those parts to get a neat and professional look and feel. So we have the manual sergers to overlockers and we have the industrial overlockers. Even for the manual sergers or overlockers, they are 100% electrical. So I'm going to be talking about brands, some popular brands of sewing machines that you know. We have the Butterfly, which is the very, very popular. I think that's like the first sewing machine that came into the market. We have the Butterfly, we have the Singer, we have the Two Lions, we have the ML. We have some that are gaining popularity now. We have Citizen, we have Bright, we have Janome, we have is it Janome or Janome? We have the brothers, so and so many more types of sewing machines coming into the fashion space. The sewing machine I'm going to be recommending for you to get is a manual sewing machine. Yes, you have it there, this manual sewing machine, because this is the first sewing machine that as a beginner you get access to. This is your first sewing machine that you get access to in the tailoring shop, in the tailoring school, in the fashion designing school. This is the first one they teach you as a beginner to get conversant and acquainted to. It is easy to understand and use almost immediately. With or without electricity, you can always use your manual sewing machine to create whatever thing you want to create. Note that even professional designers, even professional fashion designers, people that are already pro into this fashion thingy, they do have their industry. They have all types of sewing machine. They have the industrial, they have the tabletop, they have the sergers, they have every kind of sewing machine that you think that they should have. But always know that they have their manual sewing machine that comes in handy for them as their backup. So if you are just starting your sewing journey, you can opt for a domestic sewing machine, that is a manual sewing machine. When you start to make a lot of money, you can now go and get industrial sewing machines or a tabletop sewing machine, a serger. I think you should opt for a manual sewing machine. If you have enjoyed this video, please kindly like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. We have other videos on our channel. I would implore you to please kindly go and watch these videos, because this channel is all about growth and we're bringing new and beginner friendly tutorials for everybody. Thank you for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Bye for now.